Hey everyone, welcome to What the Flick, wrapping up season 1 of Taboo with Tim and Ben. I'm Alonso. These episodes don't have titles, but I think my go-to for this one would be Boom!
Yeah, there's quite a few explosions.
So I read Vulture's recap of
Yes.
it, and I just think they're 100% correct.
And they say?
They say, like, again, the superhero stuff, they can do how is he outsmarting everybody this much, this consistently? Did anything surprising happen? And the one thing that was surprising, I suppose, was that Michael Kelly is a double agent, right? Or had been turned. Maybe he wasn't always a double agent, but I couldn't figure that out. But how were we supposed to know that? How were we supposed to even have an inkling or an interest? It's just like deciding something. No, it turns out, as a review, Tim is the whole time is a woman dressed like a man. You could never have seen that coming.
Actually, a YouTube commenter did call it pretty long ago.
It's fine, right? But it's not. It seems like we got to have a twist. But of course, none of us could possibly have seen it coming, except Tom Hardy do it.
Well, yeah.
James Delaney, because he knows
every fucking thing.
So it just, again, didn't. And Cenk, who's not here, obviously hasn't been here for any of them, but I did a show with him last night, and he was so excited for the finale because he doesn't like it. He loves it. He loves Taboo. And so I would love him to have been able, he's at a meeting, but to come in and defend it, because he was like, no, I believe all the stuff that he figures out, you can see. I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Okay, Cenk's got to sit me down with some flashcards then, because I found this show just sort of more and more vexing. And the prospect of a season 2 with no Jonathan Pryce, I'm like, he was kind of my favorite thing.
Maybe he survived. We never saw him.
That's true. There's no corpse, but
So the thing that explains everything is that he's written a series of notes that are delivered to everyone,
right.
And that explains everyone's part. And then they carry out those parts.
And he knows where to find everybody.
Perfect synchronicity.
Right, that kid was able. I mean, God forbid somebody mugged that kid or tripped that kid or kid.
Even Lorna knew exactly what to say to the American spy queen to get her to.
Right.
So that was either all explained in the note, or she had way more insight into.
Yeah, this is some Ocean's 11
plan.
shit.
Yeah, and then we are Americans. Like it's almost like the show was. Again, which I'm sure happens sometimes, but the show was sort of, written backwards from
that line.
Yeah.
We are Americans, and then so it just, and there was just a lot of killing of, sort of pointless
secondary characters.
Yeah, pointless secondary characters, killing some, sort of surviving.
Maiming the important ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, why did it have to come down to, there was no way to do this without it being the last second deal? Why don't you just leave earlier?
Yeah.
I mean, what am I missing?
There are so many little click, 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 click things tumbling in place, which if you write it right, can be a very satisfying way to end this kind of story. But if you don't, it just feels contrived. Yeah. And this mostly felt contrived. I did kind of like the notion of when you see all those people on the boat at the end. I was reminded of, is it in Stripes where Bill Murray has that speech about, we're Americans, we were kicked out of every respectable country in Europe, And yeah, like the people a lot of the people who inhabited the New World were these people who were sort of on the fringes of society and had nothing to lose. It's like, well, fuck it, let's see what we can make happen in the New World. I can redefine myself, I can start over, and so that moment kind of registered with me in terms of that is for that period, certainly the immigrant experience.
Look, and Tom Hardy, remains my favorite actor. But although, again, I like him in parts. I like him more rock and roller than Taboo.
I might like him a little less after this show. I like him a lot. I'm a big fan, but this show really got on my nerves.
How about our unceremonious ending to the Zilpha storyline?
Oh.
Yeah, and also, right, Vulture, again, I'm stealing it, but it's. I think I might have thought of it on my own, we don't know what to do with her. She jumps off a bridge.
And he's sad about it, but then someone tells him to get over it, and he's over it.
Yeah, boom.
Who told him to get over it?
Lorna.
Oh, and also the slavery thing. Again, that also working out just right. And why? Why does he care?
Yeah.
What is his moral crusade?
He's getting his revenge on someone that he just blew
locked him
up.
in, right? I mean, he is complicit also.
Yes, he is. I mean,
And also, I hated justice. I hated that the guy said it out loud. We get it. He's there. It's his mission. He looks at it. This is where you need a self-satisfying look. Just have him put it in his pocket, and we know he's satisfied, and he walks out. Or have him walk past Brace. Brace, that part I liked, I guess, that sort of speech.
about the not coming to...
You come in, you can, and Brace seemed happy. And then you actually, and the fact that the Brace has the dog and the house, like, all right, think Brace is going to have a pretty good last 8 years on Earth,
I think he's going to jump off the bridge, too.
You think he is? No, he's got to take care. He's got to take care of that dog. So I don't know. Again, people in the best shows, we have to understand people's motivation and their likelihood of success and their intellect level and what they're capable of. And these guys all proved to be far more capable. Again, it was like Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
That's what it felt. This was like a better Suicide Squad.
Well, what isn't? But I mean,
Right.
I think too much of this thing where we're like, well, how would he know or how could he do? Because magic.
Right.
That
Because
felt,
the Ravens told him.
yes,
He
like that
whispered
felt
and-
really lazy. Like, well, we need that. There's so much sort of Deus ex machina on this show, but the Deus is some crazy pagan. I don't know.
Which
what's
Which is
going
weird
on.
because it all would have been okay if we saw someone release a raven. That's a perfectly fine,
Well, yeah, I mean,
message carrier.
Game of Thrones has a three-eyed raven that is integral to the storyline, but everybody talks about it and acknowledges it, and we essentially see it, right? I mean,
It's part of the world.
It's part of the world, and
Yeah.
its place in the world is explained.
And Game of Thrones is set in a fantasy universe, whereas this is, England 1814, and we see actual, business figures and actual government figures, and so then to have this guy who talks to the birds, and has mystical doodah powers, it's just like...
Whose idea was it to kill the East India Company men? The two second in command toady guys.
Seemed like
it was Sir Stewart's idea, right?
Seemed like it was Jonathan Bryce's idea.
Yeah.
Like they knew too much, and first of all, they're incompetent.
Yeah.
Like we've established their level of getting stuff done. So, but again, they both died exactly the same way. It felt, I don't know, it didn't.
It didn't have that, the Lannisters send their regards moment, even though it was supposed to be exactly that.
Right. I'm like, all right, that guy's dead. And then, and just a lot of, tough for Zilpha and tough for Helga. And, Helga seemed to make some sense. Again, you lose your kid. But again, you have a chance to start in the new world. She learns the truth about Jane. I don't know. I was left super unsatisfied. And mowing down all those British troops just felt like a very traditional, uninteresting killing, just a battle scene that didn't, that showed up at the last second. Like, again, the Prince Regent, he really seems like the king. I got it. But he says, I'm the monarch. The words he said, I'm the monarch, I get to decide.
Yeah.
And he's, he's fat and eating food, and he acts like a king,
Yeah, the whole ambush thing with the soldiers just kind of felt like, it's the last episode. We got to make some shit happen, and so let's blow some things up.
And so they get that guy too. So I guess he's not going to make it
To the new world?
Chumley, yeah.
He looks that injury looks pretty great.
It looks a little two-faced, yeah.
But I
He
like
may just be chum by the time the voyage is over.
right. But I like that they went and saved him, and like that was it turned out he cares about some people. Like that's
Sure.
Like he risked himself.
Does he care, or does he have a use for him still?
No, that guy was seriously wounded. He tried to. That was, I think, a help those who have
Helped me.
fallen moment, and even as we see him go down, and he touches Lorna in a way that suggests thank you, sort of sorry about you. But she's shot in the shoulder. Nobody in TV has ever died from being shot in the shoulder ever. It's like 2,400.
Except when your doctor just lost all of his skin, then maybe.
Oh no, he's not the doctor. They have the other.
Oh, they have the proper doctor?
Yeah.
Oh, right,
They brought it up.
I was trying to say something nice about the look of this show because it's certainly they put work into it and it wasn't sort of tossed off, but it becomes so repetitively monochromatic and muddy and smoky, and I get it, that's the period and that's the place and you're capturing it, but it just after a while becomes this sort of visual white noise where you're looking at everything through a grocery bag.
Yeah, so
It made the murder of the American stand out, though, with the brightly colored dyes and the blue face.
Yeah,
and
no,
the
that's true. And
entrails.
when they were mixing the gunpowder and it had
Yeah.
the color. I mean, yeah, every so often you would get a thing like that, or you'd be in a room that actually got some sunlight in it. But for the most part, I felt just kind of overwhelmed by the sludginess of it all.
I say this a lot, but the sludgiest, muddiest, dirtiest show I've ever seen is Deadwood, but
Right.
it never got old. You just kept thinking, to me, Deadwood was this great precursor to Westworld because Deadwood seemed like, that's what Westworld should be. Like, make it look like Deadwood. That just was so. And again, whenever it rained, it was horrible. You put the boards out and it's muddy, and the women are holding up their things. And it was
Westworld is a resort. Nobody wants to pay money to go live in fucking Deadwood.
That's right. Fair enough.
You pay to get out of Deadwood.
Yeah, pay to get out of Deadwood. But and so whereas Deadwood, pulled it off for 36 episodes where you didn't get tired of that that look, this, I agree, it just seemed. So anyway, I'm glad it's over. I was not even really into the dramatic ending. I mean, I wasn't even really into. I cared about the battle, but I who lived and who died.
Sure, but you knew that nothing was going to happen to James because nothing ever happens to James because he's always, even if he's being tortured, he's always better than everybody else and one step ahead of everybody else. And so there was no tension there.
We don't believe that his whole plan was to get put in the Tower of London. And then he gets
to
out
arrange
of
a meeting with Stuart Strange, who would then be totally on board with his plan every step of the way to avoid being incriminated for a crime that he could easily just murder him for.
Why didn't you just go to Stuart before you get put in the Tower?
You know where he lives.
Yeah,
he's got a very big house.
And if that was the plan, then that involved knowing that Winter was going to die and that he would be accused of it. I mean, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I'm okay. I'm not back for season 2. I'm sorry. I'm done with Taboo. So if anybody else here wants to talk about it, we'll return with that for then. But I will not be doing it. I'm done.
All right.
Maybe Jenk's on board.
Maybe yes. He's such a fan. Let him sit here.
Let's see what. Let's see where we are in a year.
Yeah, if there's a season 2.
Right.
Apparently this thing was real expensive and they didn't recoup. So anyway, we thank you for watching and for watching us. And we'll be back. The Americans are starting back really soon, right?
American starts and Feud starts.
Yes, and we're doing When We Rise today, which is a miniseries, and another one of ours is coming back. Leftovers, I think, in May.
Short season of Leftovers.
We'll be around. Join us.
Oh,